What's going on, guys? It's me, JV, coming to you live this Friday afternoon. Today is September 6th still. It's 2024, and I wanted to talk about politics. Politics of the United States. POTUS. And the upcoming election, I actually did a video about 2 weeks ago in which I got ridiculed for not knowing who I was going to be voting for this upcoming November 5th. But, based on the recent events that have taken place, I had a pretty good understanding of who I was going to be voting for. As I, mentioned in my previous videos, I definitely was going to vote 100% for sure. I've been voting, I actually voted in 2020, then I voted in 2022 in the midterm elections. And prior to 2020, I had not voted at all since 2004. I actually voted in the 2004 presidential election. Cheers, mate. Cheers. I'm actually drinking a Modelo right now. I love Modelos. Best brand in the world for beer, in my opinion. And so I had a pretty good idea as to who I was going to be voting for this upcoming November. But, there's absolutely no question that Kamala Harris is going to get my vote after doing some research and due diligence and looking at the recent events. I really didn't know whether or not, I live in California, so my vote is really not going to have any impact overall on the presidential race. We know that California is going to go blue. It's probably going to go by 30 points to Harris. So my vote really was not going to be very impactful. So I was thinking about maybe voting for a third-party candidate. Maybe vote for Cornel West or Jill Stein. But Jill Stein is a joke. Jill Stein, man, oh man. I've been watching some of her interviews. She is an absolute despicable joke. I think she's a Russian agent. She's probably getting paid by the Kremlin to be involved in the race. She is not being taken seriously. Even AOC called her out. Even, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called her out and told her that she was definitely not being serious about her candidacy. Same thing with Cornel West. I don't know what happened to Cornel West. I think these people are being paid by the Republican Party, by the GOP, to siphon votes away from Kamala Harris in the key battleground states. So I just can't vote for those two individuals. And of course, RFK Jr., we all knew he was an absolute coward. The guy is a despicable, he's a disgrace to his last name and his reputation. We knew that the guy was not serious since, from day one. We knew that he was ultimately trying to get Donald Trump back in the White House. So it doesn't surprise me when he dropped out of the race a couple of weeks ago. The guy is an absolute disgraceful joke. So at this point, I'm definitely voting for Harris. And the reason why I'm voting for Harris is because I want, for a myriad of reasons, but one of the main reasons why I'm voting for Harris, I want Kamala Harris to win by 10 million votes in the popular vote. I want that vote count to be a huge rout against Donald Trump. He's going to lose the popular vote, 100% guaranteed that. There's no question that he's going to lose the popular vote. So we got to run up the numbers, man, against this guy. We got to make sure that he gets humiliated on November the 5th. And there's absolutely no way I can vote for Donald Trump. The guy is an insurrectionist. He tried to overturn the vote of 81 million people in the U.S., 81 million voters. He tried to disenfranchise his voter base. And so that alone right there should disqualify him from being taken seriously. That right there alone should absolutely disqualify him from running for president. I cannot imagine anybody, especially the people that voted for Joe Biden, which I was one of them. I voted for Biden in 2020. 81 million voters, not one of those 81 million voters should vote for Trump on that basis alone. There's 1,000 other reasons why Donald Trump should not even come close to winning this election. But that right there, January 6, 2021, is a reason why nobody should vote for this guy. Then of course, he just admitted, by the way, he just admitted in one of the interviews, I don't remember who it was with, I think he was on a podcast, and the guy admitted finally on camera that he lost the election. After all these years claiming that the election was rigged, claiming that the election was stolen from him, and that they had a bunch of proof that indicated that Joe Biden got a lot of phantom votes across the various swing states, which we all know is a bunch of bullshit. The guy was making it up. Everybody knew, everybody with a brain understood that these guys were making stuff up because they couldn't tolerate the fact that they lost the election. All these years, the guy has been claiming that he won the election and that it was a rigged election. And now he finally came out, maybe because the guy is senile. Remember, he's 78 years old. He's senile. His father passed away, I believe, from Alzheimer's disease. So the guy doesn't even know what he's talking about 75% of the time. Maybe that was a slip up. Maybe that was a huge gaffe. Maybe that was a monumental admission of what he knew all along, and that is that he lost the election. He actually came out and said that he lost the election by a whisker. Those were his exact words. I lost the election by a whisker. So he finally admitted it. What an absolute clown that guy is. How can you possibly vote for him? Not to mention Project 2025. He wants to take away reproductive rights from women. He wants to basically fire 20,000 employees of the federal government, legitimate employees that are independent, that don't have really a political agenda. He wants to get rid of those people. I can go on and on about Project 2025. The guy wants to implement tariffs, 100% tariffs on incoming goods from China and other countries across the world. Can you imagine if he does that? Does he realize that that's going to drive inflation through the roof? Does he realize that? Does he realize that American consumers are going to pay $10,000 to $20,000 more per vehicle if he does that? If he goes ahead and implements those tariffs on incoming goods? That's another reason why you don't want to vote for this guy. Donald Trump added $8 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. That is the largest addition of the national debt ever by any president ever in the history of the country. This guy is not a fiscal conservative. This guy doesn't care about, balancing the budget. He drove it by $8 trillion. He wants to extend the tax cuts on the uber rich of this country if he wins the presidency in 2025. He doesn't care about the middle class or the working poor. He wants to basically work for his buddies. That was his major accomplishment, by the way, in his first term as president, and hopefully his only term as president. That was it. That's his signature. That is his signature accomplishment. Passing a bill that would cut taxes on the very rich people of the United States. Why do you think all the oligarchs are absolutely pouring money into his campaign? The very rich, like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, among others. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the lady, I forget her name, that was running with RFK Jr., his running mate, why do you think he wants Trump to win? Because she's a billionaire. By the way, she didn't earn that money. She got that money through a divorce from one of the co-founders of Google. She doesn't even deserve to have that money. And yet she's voting for Trump, and she wants to make sure that Trump wins the election so that she doesn't get taxed. That's Trump's signature accomplishment. Cutting taxes for the uber rich. We know he's a racist. We know he's a sexist. We know he's a misogynist. We know he's an election denier, even though he just came out and said that he lost the election. The Republican Party is trying to siphon votes away from, they're trying to suppress the voters in key states like Texas and Georgia, even though Texas is probably going to go red. But they're trying to suppress the vote from minorities. As a matter of fact, the Attorney General for the state of Texas, James Paxton, he just got sued by the League of Latino Voters in the state of Texas because they're intimidating them with raids, unprovoked raids of these people that are working in this League of Latino voters. They're trying to intimidate them so they don't come out and vote on November 5th. Same thing in Georgia. They're doing the same exact thing. They're applying voter intimidation tactics in order to suppress the vote. And not only that, they're taking a lot of people out off the voter rolls in major cities like Atlanta and Houston and Clark County, and also in the state in which in the county in which Atlanta is located. They're trying to basically take away Democratic voters off the voter rolls. So there's a million reasons why I'm definitely voting for Kamala Harris, and I think Kamala Harris is going to win the election. When you have an increase of 175% among African American young women registering to vote, who do you think they're going to vote for? It's certainly not going to be for Donald Trump. 175%, that is a record-breaking statistic. That is a mind-blowing statistic. And I guarantee you one thing, the number one issue on this election is not going to be immigration, it's not going to be the economy, it's not going to be foreign policy with what's going on in the Middle East and in Ukraine. It's going to be reproductive rights. It's going to be the right for women to choose if they want to have an abortion or not. Mark my words, women are going to crush Donald Trump on November the 5th. It is going to be a landslide. They are going to absolutely destroy not just Donald Trump, but I'm predicting that the Democrats are going to win back the House, and they're probably going to even retain the Senate. I highly doubt they'll keep the Senate because I think they're going to lose. They already lost West Virginia. Joe Manchin is not going to run for re-election, so that seat is going to go back to the Republicans. More than likely, John Tessler is going to lose the election in Montana, so that would put the Republicans at 51, and the Democrats would have 49 senators caucusing with them, including the two independents, Bernie Sanders and Agnes King. But I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if the Senate even gets retained by the Democrats. I think women are going to make a humongous, monumental tsunami type of a statement in this coming election, and it's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be mind-boggling. And the reason why I think it's that reproductive rights is going to be the number one issue is because, I mean, look at the track record. Look at the trend of voting that has taken place since Roe v. Wade was overturned in 2021, I believe it was, or 2022. Ever since that decision was overturned by the Supreme Court, all the elections have favored Democrats. Abortion rights have won in every single state, including ruby red states like Kentucky and Montana and Kansas, Ohio, every single state. And these are ruby red states that are going to go to the Republicans on November 5th. Reproductive rights have won in every one of those states. Just think about how that's going to play out in Arizona, which is a swing state, and in Florida. in which Trump is only leading by about 5 points. So I think that for those reasons, I'm voting for Harris. I just cannot imagine anybody voting for Donald Trump at this point. Unless you are a complete cultist, unless you are I don't know, I just don't understand why you would vote for Trump. What is the reason? Why is the reason why you would vote for this guy? He's a flip-flopper too. All of a sudden he's in favor of the 6-week abortion ban being extended? What about the Christians? Are the Christians okay with that? The evangelical Christians that support the GOP? How can you vote for a guy that doesn't even hold your values? So this is the reason why I'm definitely going to vote for Kamala Harris. I know that my vote means nothing because California, where I'm going to be voting, is going to go blue. I predict Kamala Harris will win by 30%. By 30 points, she's going to win in California. It's going to be the biggest lopsided victory for a Democrat in California history. And that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot. But I think Kamala Harris is going to win that state in a landslide. And I think she'll win Nevada. I think she's going to win Wisconsin. I think she's going to win Michigan. I think she's going to win Pennsylvania. And I wouldn't be surprised if she even wins Georgia again. And even Florida. Even in Florida, I wouldn't be surprised because of the abortion measure. The abortion measure on the ballot that's going to be on the ballot, in which women are going to be voting. Remember, they need 60% to pass that bill. 60%. So I think women are going to be very motivated, knowing that they need to pass the bill with 60%. They got to come up with 60% of the vote in order to overturn the laws that are in the state of Florida, where there is a 6 weeks abortion ban implemented by the governor there, Ron DeSantis. Well, I call him DeSantis, but I don't know, it's Ron DeSantis. So that means that Trump's victory is in jeopardy in Florida, and I think that Rick Scott, the senator that's also running there, he might even lose as well to Powell, the Democratic challenger. So I think that you're going to see more and more people come out and support Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as the ticket. Clearly, Kamala Harris is not a perfect candidate. Clearly, Kamala Harris is no Barack Obama. She's not she's not one of those transgenerational type of candidates like JFK or Ronald Reagan or Barack Obama, but I think she has enough charisma and enough good policies, even though sometimes, like Trump, she has definitely flip-flopped on some of the issues, but I think she's definitely way better option than Donald Trump. I don't think it doesn't even come close. And there's so many I can spend another half an hour talking about the reasons why people should not vote for Donald Trump. But the fact that this guy came out and admitted that he lost the election. What are the people, the terrorists, I call them the domestic terrorists that attacked the Capitol on January the 6th, what are they thinking behind bars right now? They're behind bars because they were hoodwinked. They were bamboozled by Trump, saying that the election was stolen. What are they thinking right now, I wonder? What are they saying? I went through all of this. I went through the Capitol. I trespassed the Capitol. I beat up on some cops. I wanted to kill Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi because I thought that the election was stolen. And now this guy just came out and admitted that he lost. He knew all along that he lost the election. I mean, how can you possibly vote for this guy? It just boggles my mind, man. It just absolutely, it's plain insanity, the people that are still supporting this guy. And you know what pisses me off the most? The fact that the mainstream media is treating Donald Trump all these months, all these years, Ever since he announced that he was going to run for re-election a couple of years ago, they've been treating him like a normal candidate. They continue to cover his ass. They continue to treat him as a regular Republican candidate like Mitt Romney or John McCain or George W. Bush, knowing full well that he was an insurrectionist. He tried to terminate the Constitution of the United States. He tried to end democracy. He told 81 million plus voters, your vote doesn't count. You're not good enough. You're not voting for me, so therefore I'm going to cancel out your vote. Think about how serious that is. And the mainstream media knows this. They know exactly how incredibly damning that is. That alone should disqualify him. And they're not even talking about it. They're not even talking about the January 6, 2021 insurrection. Instead, they're talking about Kamala Harris not having specific policies. Where are Trump's specific policies? Can somebody explain that to me? Where are his policies, specific policies? How is he going to fix inflation? How is he going to fix healthcare? How is he going to come up with a better healthcare plan than the Affordable Care Act? How is he going to minimize gun control, not gun control, but the gun violence in the U.S.? He's not coming. How is he going to reduce inflation? All these issues. He doesn't have anything. He just rambles on. All he does is just rambles about how the election was stolen, and Kamala Harris is a communist, and Tim Walz is a radical left-winger. He never comes up with any policy. So why is the mainstream media not questioning him? I really, I think the mainstream media in the United States, which by the way is owned, 90% of the mainstream media in the United States is owned by these oligarchs that are supporting Trump. They have a lot of skin in the game. They have a lot of reasons to want Trump to win the election. This mainstream media. Rupert Murdoch with Fox. Comcast with MSNBC. The new CEO, the new owner of CNN. It's Newsmax. All these right-wing radio stations across the country, like Salem's Communication, Breitbart. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Who owns the Washington Post? Jeff Bezos, right? An oligarch, a right-wing billionaire. So, I mean, it's very clear why the mainstream media is covering for Trump. Anyway, this is probably the longest video I've ever recorded. But I wanted to get this off my chest, and this is the reason why I'm voting for Kamala Harris. There's just no choice. Even the Republicans, even Dick Cheney, for God's sakes, is voting for Kamala Harris. Dick Cheney, who should be rotting behind bars for his role in the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. He ought to be rotting in prison for the rest of his life, and instead the guy is just... he's living his life like normal, like nothing. But even that guy, even that scumbag is voting for Kamala Harris. So anyway, I'm probably going to get attacked by the Trump supporters, but I don't care, man. It's up to you guys. If you want to continue to support a charlatan like this, a clown, a guy who stands for nothing but himself, then go ahead. And then the justice system, another joke. I can go on and on, man. They just delayed his sentencing. That was supposed to happen on September 19th or 18th. They just delayed that in favor of Trump. That's a political, that's political in my opinion. This Juan Merchan, the judge, whatever his last name is, he just delayed his sentencing. You don't think that's political? Give me a break, man. It's everything is rigged. Everything is stacked against, everything is in favor of the Republicans because they got all the money. They got the oligarchs, they got the billionaires, piling on the money to support him ever since Citizens United was passed in 2010, thanks to the right-wing Supreme Court justices. It's all a joke. But I'm going to vote for Harris, and I think she's going to win the election. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I know it's not a fun topic to discuss, but I needed to give my opinion on this upcoming election. Thank you.